So imagine a chessboard where the king, who has literally never moved from his starting square for centuries, just suddenly picks up a sword and walks right into the middle of the board.
Oh, I mean, it completely shatters the illusion of the game. Every established rule, every predictable strategy you had, it just goes right out the window.
Exactly, and it forces you to realize the king was, well, never just a piece to be protected. He was actually the most dangerous weapon all along.
Right.
And if you're joining us today, you're probably someone who loves to stay incredibly well informed on this stuff without getting bogged down by, massive information overload. So, welcome to the deep dive.
Glad to be here for this one.
Today, we are unpacking a highly detailed analytical report on Chapter 1177, where the king of this world has finally stepped onto the board. We're going to untangle the chaos of the Elbath incident, decode this 800-year antithesis that's finally coming to a head, and figure out the true significance of this terrifying new entity known as Gunko.
Yeah, and the stakes here have just fundamentally shifted. I mean, for the entire history of this world, the supreme entity known as Emu has sat on that empty throne in Mary Joy's, acting strictly through proxies.
Right.
Yeah.
Always behind the scenes.
Exactly. But now, for the very first time, Emu has left that throne to personally intervene at Elbaf. This isn't just another battle. This is, quite literally, an apocalyptic starting line.
And what's wild to me is the reaction from the five elders, the Gorzei. These are guys who are usually, completely unified in their absolute control. But looking at the source material for this deep dive, there's actual division among them right now.
Which is huge.
Right. Some of them are flat out panicking over the simultaneous existence of Nikalufi and the god of war, Loki, in the same era. They see it as this catastrophic anomaly.
Yeah.
Yet one elder remains terrifyingly confident about a, quote, contingency plan that's capable of flattening the world.
And that division is incredibly revealing. It tells us that their system is under unprecedented stress, because Emu's physical movement requires an equally unprecedented enforcer on the ground.
Yeah, they couldn't just send an admiral this time.
Right, or even a buster call. That wouldn't cut it at Elbaf. They needed something fundamentally different to handle two mythical entities at once. And that brings us directly to Gunko.
Man, the manifestation of Gunko is genuinely chilling. The report describes him radiating this thick, dense black lightning, taking on this brutal winged zoan form.
It's terrifying.
Yeah, and the atmospheric pressure he exudes is so intense that both Luffy and Loki are physically trembling from it. But looking at his combat style, he doesn't just, brawl. He uses something called a black grimoire.
Which is really the key to understanding his entire function. I mean, Gunko doesn't just overpower opponents with brute force. He mathematically dismantles them.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the black grimoire allows him to literally bend the established rules of combat. Like, take that black spear he uses against the Frankie Shogun.
Right, and Frankie's shield is practically legendary for its durability.
Exactly, but Gunko's spear didn't just hit the shield harder. The dark energy seemingly distorted the spatial defense of the shield itself. It just pierced it effortlessly.
And then he also utilizes that ultimate void barrier that just reflects lasers and physical trauma like they're nothing. Okay, I really want to look at the void triple break.
Oh, yeah. That's a crucial moment.
Because Luffy actually tries to block this strike head on, and the result is immediate. Luffy coughs up blood, he's instantly knocked out of Gear 5, and he's left severely injured. So, how does a single strike forcibly eject a user from an awakened state that's fundamentally based on total freedom?
Well, it comes down to frequency disruption. The sources note Robin's observation here, which is brilliant. She realizes that Gunko's dark energy shares a frequency with ancient energy, the exact same energy associated with the Void Sentry.
Wait, really?
Yeah. So by applying the white triple break, Gunko isn't just dealing physical damage. He's actively canceling out the unique Hosky wavelength that sustains the Nika transformation.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because if I'm visualizing this correctly, Gunko acts almost like a targeted computer virus designed specifically to crash mythical entity software.
That is a perfect analogy.
Right. He is an absolute suppression mechanism. He's not there to box with you. He's there to delete your operating system.
He absolutely is. And it shows that the world government hasn't just hidden the Void Sentry. They have weaponized the very blank space in history. They've harnessed that ancient frequency to create something capable of shutting down the gods of this era.
So if you're facing an absolute suppression mechanism that mathematically calculates and negates your specific energy frequency, how do you even fight back? Because my initial thought reading the tactical breakdown was that the Straw Hats just threw everything they had at him in this chaotic brawl until, something stuck.
Yeah, that's a really common misread of what looks like a frantic battlefield. But what the crew actually deployed was textbook asymmetrical warfare.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, because you don't fight a suppression mechanism on its own terms. You overwhelm its processing capacity with contradictory variables that it just wasn't programmed to handle simultaneously.
Oh, I see. So if we group their actions by tactical purpose rather than just who hit who, Frankie was drawing aggro, right?
Right.
Taking the vanguard position to absorb that spatial distortion from the Black Spear, even though his defense ultimately failed.
Correct. And while Gunko's attention was diverted to neutralizing that heavy artillery, Zoro and Sanji applied continuous kinetic pressure.
Yay!
They weren't even trying to land a finishing blow. They were literally cutting the black spears out of the air, creating a disruptive screen.
And then you add the environmental and spiritual layer on top of that.
Yeah.
Because Nami uses Raitai to manipulate the weather, presumably trying to alter the atmospheric conductivity to disperse that black lightning. And Brook attempts a spiritual attack with his soul sword, though the source notes his sword is actually crushed by the sheer dark pressure of Gunko's aura.
Which is vital data, honestly. The failure of Brook's attack demonstrates that Gunko's void energy is so dense it physically crushes soul wavelengths.
That's intense.
Yeah, it forces the mechanism to actively defend on a spiritual front, a physical front, and an environmental front, all at exactly the same time.
And all of this buys precious seconds for the logistics team. Chopper's medical intervention stabilizes Luffy just enough after that devastating void triple break. And that leads to the ultimate turning point. The Reber lightning maneuver.
Yes, the wild card.
Right, because Luffy physically grabs the lightning from Loki's Nidhogger Raiha attack, which Loki generated using the Lagoonal Hammer, and Luffy just infuses it into his own rubber body.
And this is the variable that finally shatters the ultimate void barrier. Because Gunko's barrier was calculated to absorb standard Hahaki, kinetic force, and even directed energy like lasers.
Right, standard inputs.
Exactly. But a rubber body channeling the hijacked divine lightning of a giant god of war, that creates a totally contradictory physics input.
It's completely illogical. I mean, you literally can't calculate for rubber holding lightning. The algorithm just breaks.
Precisely. Because it fuses the physical properties of Nika with the mythical energy of the god of war, the barrier just couldn't process those simultaneous paradoxical inputs, and it resulted in a total structural collapse.
But I have to wonder though, they beat the firewall. The barrier is shattered. Doesn't that mean they've won the immediate tactical engagement? Like, did they break Imu's enforcer?
Well, if Gunko were the primary threat, yes. But the analytical report revealed something much worse. Defeating Gunko merely pulled back the curtain on a much darker 800-year-old psychological operation.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Gunko was really just the vanguard.
He was just the bouncer at the door.
Exactly.
Yeah.
To understand the true threat at Elbaf, we have to examine the historical context the sources provide. Because 800 years ago, Imu, the original Nika, and the original god of war weren't enemies.
Wait, really?
No, they were incredibly close allies. They were best friends.
Okay, that casts a terrifying light on the current state of the world. Because what could possibly fracture an alliance of the three most powerful beings in history?
What's fascinating here is it was a forbidden curse known as Domi Reversi. And the mechanics of this curse are horrific. They really explain the true nature of Imu's power.
How so?
Well, to activate Domi Reversi, Imu had to sacrifice a portion of their own lifespan. It is an extreme, irreversible psychological manipulation tool. It targets the victim, which in the past was the god of war, and forcibly strips away their reason, hijacking their soul to mutate them into a mindless evil dragon.
So wait, Imu gives up their own life force to completely rewrite the consciousness of a god-tier entity. But why turn the god of war into a rampaging monster? Why not just assassinate him if he's a threat?
Because an assassination might turn him into a martyr. Or worse, it might cause Nika to turn against Imu in retaliation.
Oh, I see.
Right. By mutating the god of war into a mindless, destructive beast, Imu forced Nika into an impossible moral dilemma. This evil dragon threatened to destroy everything, so Nika had no choice. He had to kill his own best friend to stop the rampage.
Wow. That is the ultimate weaponization of a relationship. Imu doesn't even have to get their hands dirty. They orchestrate this scenario where the two strongest threats to their throne are forced to destroy each other, leaving Imu as the sole supreme entity. I mean, that is psychological torture disguised as inevitable tragedy.
And that is exactly why Emu has personally stepped onto the board at Elbaf today. They aren't just some historian reflecting on an 800-year-old victory. They are a tactician using a proven formula. And they are actively dragging Loki and Luffy into the exact same trap.
And here's where it gets really interesting, because we actually see the physical construction of this trap right on the island. Emu's subordinates Somar's killing him and Gunko are drawing this massive magic matrix. And the dedication to this operation is honestly unsettling.
It really is.
Yeah, the source material points out that Somar's is near death, yet he drags his bloody, broken body across the ground just to complete his section of the matrix.
Right. That fanatical devotion is what ensures the matrix is completed, which sets the stage for the geopolitical bait. Emu uses captured Elbaf children to lure Loki directly into the center of the trap.
So Loki rushes in to save his people, the trap springs, Doom Reversi is activated, and history just repeats itself. Just like 800 years ago, Loki's reason is stripped away, and he is violently mutated into a massive, sky-covering evil dragon.
And the psychological fallout on the island is immediate. Yrul, who is one of the oldest and most respected giants, witnesses this apocalyptic transformation and just falls into total despair.
Yeah, he gives up.
He does. He concludes that all hope is lost, claiming that only Shanks, who isn't even on the island, has the power to stop a threat of this magnitude.
But this is where Luffy just rejects the entire premise of the trap. When Yrul despairs and looks for a savior from the old guard, Luffy just laughs. He looks up at this world-ending dragon and declares, "No need for Shanks' turn."
It's such a powerful moment.
It is. And then he enters Gear 5, expands into a giant himself, and clashes head-on with the evil dragon Loki.
And the kinetic force of their conqueror's Haki collision is described as so violent it threatens to literally tear the island of Elbaf apart.
But thinking about it, the physical destruction of the island almost feels secondary to the psychological battle taking place. Because Luffy isn't just fighting a physical dragon here. He is fighting an 800-year-old algorithm designed to make him murder a potential ally.
Yes.
Emu wants Luffy to kill Loki to save Elbaf, just like the original Nika killed the original god of war. And if Luffy kills him, the cycle continues, and Emu's supreme authority remains unchallenged.
That emotional and historical weight is really the crux of the Elbaf incident. However, and this is crucial, there is a second layer to this trap. While this giant god battle dominates the sky above Elbaf, there is a silent global apocalypse ticking underground.
Okay, yes, you're referring to Gunko's secondary objective. Because even though his void barrier was shattered, his mere presence on the island accomplished a terrifying goal. He introduced the void seeds.
Exactly. The analytical report details that these void seeds were actually planted deep underground globally by Emu 800 years ago. They are a dormant, global, self-destruct mechanism, basically a dead man's switch for the entire planet.
And this is where the deep dive takes a massive turn for you listening. Because Robin makes a connection that fundamentally alters the entire lore of this world. She analyzes Gunko's dark energy and realizes that the frequency powering these void seeds perfectly matches the frequency of the poneglyphs.
We really have to pause and examine the implications of this. Because for the entire duration of this narrative, the characters, and frankly the audience, have believed that the poneglyphs were simply indestructible history books, slabs of stone meant to preserve the forgotten past.
Right, but if they share the exact energetic frequency of a global self-destruct mechanism, they aren't just books, they are control panels.
Exactly. It suggests the poneglyphs might be the instruction manuals on how to operate, disable, or perhaps even detonate the void seeds.
Oh, wow.
It completely recontextualizes the world government's absolute ban on reading them.
Oh, that makes so much sense. We always assumed the ban was purely about censorship, right? Hiding the atrocities of the Void Century so the world government could maintain this righteous image. But if those stones are literally the launch codes for a planetary doomsday weapon, the ban isn't just about hiding history. It's about preventing an extinction-level event. Or, controlling who gets to trigger it.
It changes the motivations of every single faction searching for them. It elevates the poneglyphs from historical artifacts to active weapons of mass destruction.
Which makes Gunko's final warning before he retreats incredibly ominous, because he states that the D-Clan will be the ones to end it all. And we've always heard the Will of D romanticized as the natural enemy of the gods, the bringers of the dawn, like the heroes.
But look at the negative framing Gunko uses there. If we connect this to the bigger picture, he isn't saying the D-Clan will save the world. He implies they will be the trigger for its destruction.
Wait, are you suggesting the D-Clan's natural impulsiveness, like their drive for total freedom, is exactly what Emu is counting on to accidentally detonate these void seeds?
It is a highly probable tactical calculation. I mean, if a member of the D clan deciphers the poneglyphs without understanding the full energetic frequency, their attempt to, quote, liberate the world might inadvertently activate those dormant seeds. They might be the ones who inevitably pull the dead man's switch.
That flips the entire heroic narrative completely upside down. So, taking a step back and looking at the Elbaf incident as a whole, it's pretty clear it is no longer just a pit stop or a localized conflict.
Not at all.
It is the convergence point where every single overarching plotline is colliding. The 800-year cycled betrayal, the extreme psychological warfare of Domi Reversi, the tactical deployment of suppression mechanisms like Gunko, and now the apocalyptic threat of the Void Seeds, they're all activating simultaneously.
And for anyone listening, it serves as a profound case study in how ultimate power structures maintain their control across centuries. I mean, they utilize brute force when necessary, sure, but true, lasting control is maintained through psychological manipulation, turning your most powerful enemies against each other, and by holding the very Earth itself hostage.
Yeah.
It really leaves us with critical variables going forward. How does the world government actually intend to detonate these seeds? Can Luffy find a way to bypass the Domi Reversi curse without killing Loki and break that 800-year cycle? And what exactly is that contingency plan the Confident Elder was talking about back in Mary Joyce?
It's an incredible amount of overlapping strategy to decode, but it leaves us with one final lingering question for you to mull over. A vulnerability hidden right in plain sight.
Oh.
Yeah, think about it. We know that 800 years ago, Emu sacrificed a portion of their own lifespan to cast the Domi Reversi curse. If Emu has personally stepped onto the board at Elbaf now and is actively manipulating this massive magic matrix again today, they must be consuming even more of their own life force.
Which directly impacts the physical stability of the five elders, who draw their power and their apparent immortality directly from Emu's supreme authority.
Exactly. The more life force Emu burns to control Loki, the weaker that central power source becomes. So could the world government's ultimate offensive move using Domi Reversi to force Nika and the God of War to destroy each other actually be the exact catalyst that causes their own immortal system to collapse from the inside out?
That's a fascinating thought.
Right. Like if Emu bleeds too much lifespan to maintain this psychological torture, do the five elders suddenly become mortal right as the final global war begins?
It strongly suggests that Emu's greatest weapon is simultaneously their most fatal flaw.
And untangling those fatal flaws is exactly why we do these deep dives. Thank you so much for joining us as we explore the analytical depths of Chapter 1177 and the true stakes of the Elbaf incident. Keep questioning the historical narratives around you, keep looking for the hidden frequencies, and we will see you next time.